Hey everybody, Meteorologist Jeremy Kappell with you here on this Wednesday afternoon. Right now things are quiet enough, but that's going to change for parts of the Ohio, the Wabash, and the central Mississippi River Valley here a little bit later on this afternoon as we head on into this evening. That's the reason I wanted to pop on here. We're not going to make this a long-winded video. We don't actually have any active severe thunderstorm warnings right now to speak of. But later on this evening, that will change. We're just now beginning to watch thunderstorms developing. So I kind of wanted to do something a little different. Previously, until now, my videos have been focused on upper end severe weather events while they were ongoing, or while basically the storms were in progress. Today, I kind of wanted to get you ahead of the storms a little bit, and maybe talk a little bit about some of the ingredients that I look for, and you guys. Let me know what you think. The channel is new, of course, and so we're going to continue to tinker and change things around as we move forward. But I did want to quickly thank our friends on here for being here. I've got Sarah Canford, Charlotte on here, Wizard Dragon, and there's my friend Derek Rose on here as well, and Charlotte sometimes. Howdy from Florida. Good to have you on here today, Charlotte. So the situation is that it's getting that time of the year where you've got a lot of juice in the atmosphere to our south. Again, those areas that we're watching, we're going to watch that as that interacts with an impulse above. That's going to set the stage again for some pretty nasty weather a little bit later on. I'll get you to your future radar in just a moment. We'll get you started off with our Kappell cast. This is the analyst radar, showing you what's happening now, and then we'll diagnose what to expect here into the future. So here's your Kappell cast, and right now we're tracking just a little blister of thunderstorms that's beginning to develop across northern portions of Indiana right now. Very close to my alma mater, Purdue, up there at West Lafayette. Looks like West Lafayette seeing some pretty nasty thunderstorms dropping in right now. Not severe, but these are just beginning to bubble up. On the right, those are what we call echo tops, and I'll put that in motion for you. This is actually going to be the origin of a squall line of severe thunderstorms that is expected to develop here later on as the afternoon progresses and as we head on into this evening. The primary threats will be with these storms for the potential of damaging high winds. They'll carry with it a hail threat, and also you can't rule out at least a tornado or two out of this setup. This is not going to be a tornado outbreak, but worth watching for certain. We'll take you on over to our future cast here in a moment. First, I want to kind of diagnose what the atmosphere is doing right now. I'm going to bring that up for you, and we'll talk about where those areas of risk are as well. So this is current radar, so let's move on over. And we're going to take you back to the future radar in just a moment. I wanted to kind of point out what the Storm Prediction Center has. They've got that enhanced risk firmly there across the lower Ohio River Valley, Wabash River Valley, parts of the Middle Mississippi River Valley. That's from near Evansville to near Indianapolis to right around St. Louis, or just north of the St. Louis area. Little impulse in those jet stream winds. This is going to play a factor as it's going to help to create a lifting mechanism for the air that's very soupy, very warm, a very soupy air mass that's in place currently. This is a look at the visible satellite imagery of that area. You can see where you've got those brighter cloud tops developing across west central and northwestern Indiana into east central Illinois. That's where those thunderstorms are beginning to take off. That whole line will gel and will push to the south. Now I wanted to take a look at some severe parameters with you. And we've got this in motion. What I've added on with the colored lines, that's CAPE, or it's convective available potential energy. And that's something that you need for these storms to feed off of. Right now the CAPE is relatively low across much of eastern Indiana, but you get to the Wabash River Valley and you're pushing those CAPE numbers up over 2,000 and 2,500. These are going to continue to build into the afternoon. Checking in with our friends over there at the Storm Prediction Center, and they're expecting CAPE to be over 3 to perhaps locally 4,000 units. And for those that are unfamiliar with CAPE, convective available potential energy, just basically shows you how much energy is available in the atmosphere for thunderstorms to form off of. This time of the year, we're getting into high CAPE season, where you would expect those storms to grow tall with plenty of low-level heating and plenty of low-level moisture. That's what we are going to see here as we go throughout the day today. All right, so that is the visible satellite with CAPE also included in that information right there. I'm going to bring you back over to our Kappell cast here, and we'll be able to identify those areas again under that risk. We'll have the future radar up in just a moment with that as well. Bringing that up for you here, and there's those thunderstorms up. You know what? We came on just at the right time. Popped on, and there's that first severe thunderstorm warning of the day. Just now coming in from the Storm Prediction Center. There you go. So areas included, that is West Lafayette. That's Lafayette's my alma mater. Go Purdue, boiler up. Batten down the hatches though while you're doing that. That's a severe thunderstorm warning for southern Carroll, Tippecanoe County, northern Clinton, southwestern Howard, northeastern Warren, and also northern Tipton counties in central and northwestern Indiana. That goes until 2:30. At 2:05, the Storm Prediction Center, or make that the National Weather Service there, showing that thunderstorm was capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. You can see where they've got this moving. Some areas that will be impacted by this storm, that's Frankfort, West Lafayette as mentioned, Tipton, Flora, Shade Land, make that Burlington, and Kempton, and also Purdue University, home of the Boilermakers. Fortunately, I think school's out, so you got a little bit of summer school going on there right now, but otherwise, no big issues. All right, I'm going to take you over to our other radar source, and we're actually going to focus on the Storm Prediction Center's forecast, where taking a wider look, anywhere you see yellow, that is a slight risk of severe weather for the remainder of today and into tonight. Where you've got the kind of the orangey color, that's actually where we have the enhanced risk. And I've got it looks like I left my legend at home. I'm at home. But that does include those areas from close to Indianapolis to Evansville to St. Louis as mentioned. So this is the area that we're most concerned with. Again, damaging high wind threat with this, absolutely. So let me bring in the high resolution model data. I'll first show you where the storms are blowing up now. Okay, we can kind of overlay that. Okay, so there they are. Now let's take you into the future. This is going to be the 3K NAM. That's the North American model. 3K just simply means it's high resolution. It means the grid points are spaced apart 3 kilometers. And we are loading in the data. There it is. All right, so let's take you from where we are now. And you can see your timestamp down there at the bottom left. I will turn off current radar. And you can see basically this thing should be blowing up. It's actually initializing a little bit slow. So the storms are taking off. Realize the storms are already there. I'm looking at model data right here that's not really picking up on it as of 3:52. So if anything, the action's coming in a little bit quicker, at least quicker than this model expected it would. Here it goes. It doesn't really get it going until 4 or 5. So this is going to be late. So I would suspect that these storms will get going. They're going to reach these areas that are under the risk quicker than what the models are showing. So the 3K NAM showing it arriving at 7:15 could be more like 5 or 6 o'clock. So by the time people are heading home from work, maybe arriving, sitting down for dinner, you can see those storms getting pretty gnarly. That's going to be very, very gusty, especially when they will continue to have the heating to work with. Keep in mind peak heating, somewhere between 5, 6 o'clock, and you keep a good deal of heating through the evening. But by late evening, typically, all else being equal, you'll begin to watch the atmosphere simmer down. And so that's what we're seeing here by late this evening. Those storms, they're still very active though through 10, 11 o'clock. So that's the 3K NAM. Let me take you to another model This is the HRRR. And let me pull that data in. It takes a couple of moments to do that. And we'll take you through the next 15 hours. We'll see how this one does. See if it's lining up better with current data. So that's the data as it's loading in. And it's doing a little better job on what we call initialization. Keep in mind, we do have storms up here in northern Indiana. So this is where the model shows the storms occurring. Now let me take you over to our current radar, and we can just kind of compare. So yeah, that's lining up okay. Current radar, again, it's got that blister of thunderstorms located right there. So I'm going to take that back off. So the model's doing okay. This one's doing a little better job of depicting exactly where they're forming. So I like the timing of this one a little better. You can see by 4 o'clock it really begins to get them going into Indianapolis perhaps. 4 to 5. So if you're leaving work in that time frame, you're in Indy, it should be moving south of Kokomo at that time. Now what it's not doing is it's not bringing a lot of action near Springfield, Charleston, or into Vandalia. That's south central portions of Illinois. It is keeping most of the activity, at least through the early evening, a little more active for eastern sections of that enhanced risk. You could actually have a secondary line that forms behind it, and that does show that in the data about 6 o'clock in the evening. Excuse me, forms between 6 and 8. And then it shows it shifting south with that severe threat, then shifting west into the rest of the Show Me State. All that, again, in association with lots of heat, lots of humidity. You got that upper level impulse that we're watching for you. And then as a result, we'll see those typical kind of early season style thunderstorms developing. Already one severe thunderstorm warning. We showed you this, and it good timing on that. We popped on here for that forecast update. And about the same time that the Weather Service out of Indianapolis issued that severe thunderstorm warning for Purdue University, West Lafayette, and Tippecanoe County. You can see all that activity shifting off to the east and south. I expect that this will be the beginning of what's going to be a large linear event, we'll call it. Linear because it's going to be focused along a squall line or squall lines. Okay, so I've got Lyra on here. I've got Wizard Dragon. Jacob Gooding on here. There he is. He's my newly named moderator. So if you guys have questions, he can help keep you up to date. Good to have you on here, Jacob. Jacob, just doing a general forecast discussion. This is not going to be a long-winded, continuous severe weather event. At least I don't expect it to. We'll watch as these storms are just now beginning to get generated. But really the focus of this particular video is to kind of give you a live analysis of what I'm seeing in the atmosphere as we're watching again thunderstorms beginning to develop and the severe risk that is associated with that. There is that enhanced risk via the National or the Storm Prediction Center, and this area of thunderstorms near Lafayette, that's actually north of where the enhanced risk is located. There's the enhanced. Let me take off the radar. That's future radar data. All right, there's that. You can see areas, any area in yellow here, that's a slight risk by the National Weather Service. Could have some stronger thunderstorms down here for the Carolinas into the mid-Atlantic. There's also a little pocket here into the Lubbock, Texas area. But today, I think the focus is and should be where it's at. That Interstate 64 corridor to Interstate 70, St. Louis to Indianapolis. There's that risk area as highlighted by the National Weather Service. Now what we can also show you are the risk areas for tornadoes, damaging wind, and hail. They break that down by category. So here's the hail threat today. 15% for much of the state of Indiana and Ohio. That does include central Illinois into portions of Missouri. For wind, it's a larger threat, and I think that's what we're looking at. It's about a 30% threat down there for damaging wind. So basically, by definition, what they're giving you is the risk of severe wind as defined by 60 miles per hour or greater associated with thunderstorms within 25 miles of any point on the map. So let me bring you back over to our Kappell cast, we call it. That was coined by another moderator of ours, Jack Allen, who frequents the show. I think Jack is working right now, so he probably won't be with us. Sammy on here, is Dayton at any risk? And you're going to have a risk of some stronger thunderstorms, but I think it comes earlier for you. I think late afternoon and early evening. So particularly that early evening time frame, I think there's going to be a higher threat. So let me work with the data here for just a moment. I want to change a couple of items, and I want to show you where that risk is specifically for the areas involved. And again, we'll go over categorical risk. So, okay, so here is the general risk. Now that we can go into, again, specific categories. So here's the probability of severe wind. You can see it highlighted. That's that 30% from St. Louis to Indianapolis to just west of Louisville. Okay, so here's the hail probability. It's not as great. So wind is the specific threat. What about tornadoes? Can we have a tornado today? It's there, but that is a small risk. That is a 2% via the Storm Prediction Center. So not a huge expectation for tornadoes out of this deal. We'll watch it just in case we're wrong, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. There's a look at the thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms right now for areas north of Indianapolis. If you live in Indy, I think this is going to be your problem as we head towards this evening. All of this should dive to the south, and I think they will maintain. I don't see much of a reason why they would weaken. And the reason for this, if you've been following this channel the last couple of weeks, you know that it just started, and the purpose of the channel is to cover specifically high-end severe threats. Well, fortunately, Mother Nature gave us a break after, several weeks during the month of May where it was pretty much nonstop. We're going into a quieter pattern right now, but it's also one that will have little sporadic events like this. And so instead of kind of doing a continuous long-winded coverage, the plan with these type of events are to just come on here as things begin to develop, give you a little heads up on what to expect. Again, without a large tornado threat, I doubt I'll be doing any long-winded continuous coverage like we were here recent days. Jacob on here, this could be a nasty few days in the southeast. Well, there's going to be more risk, I think, coming up in the next few days ahead. We can take you back over to the convective risk here, Jacob, and talk a little bit more about what to expect, not just today, but the next couple of days ahead. There you go. So this is today's risk area. You can see you've got the southeast quadrant, you've got the Ohio River Valley, Mississippi River Valley, and then the area in Texas. So this is today, day one. Let's go on to day two. You've got actually areas that haven't seen much thunderstorm activity at all. We'll have that possibility from near Salt Lake City up into portions of the central and northern Rockies, maybe Great Falls, maybe Billings. And then I think tomorrow this will be the focus into central southern Texas, excuse me. That'll be the hill country from Waco to San Antonio. Keep in mind Austin is in there. But San Antonio underneath an enhanced risk. I think the tornado threat there may be a little bit higher than what we're seeing today. So that's tomorrow's severe risk, again, via the Storm Prediction Center. And then we go on to day 3. And they have a little slight risk up here for portions of the northern plains. We'll watch that in time. In the meantime, let's get you caught back up with what's going on satellite and then also radar information. You can see that area of Cape definitely growing now as it's pushing into southwestern Indiana. Cape, again, the amount of energy available in the atmosphere for these thunderstorms to grow on, to fuel off of. Sammy, no problem. I've got my friend Mary Kay Legler on here at this hour. Thanks for stopping by, Mary Kay. Good to see you, as always. And then, let's see. Robin Kuhlman on here. Linda Jennings stopping by. Thank you. Wizard Dragon talking about I would pay attention also with the storms out front of the squall line. They can spin up. Tornadoes, that is almost always the case. If you have a squall line that breaks down oftentimes, that can lead to spin in the atmosphere. But overall, we think that this one's going to be more of a straight line wind threat, but worth watching nonetheless. Watching the thunderstorms developing, let's go back over to your analyst radar. Just a little blister of thunderstorms right now showing up across northern Indiana. This will impact, it's impacting Lafayette, Indiana right now. Let's investigate for wind. We go on over to just regular old velocity here. I don't see anything that's too threatening. I'm showing about 45 to 50 knot winds, so that's 50 to 55 miles per hour. Although it does look like we have a maximum of about 66 miles per hour. Stronger thunderstorm capable with that. Here's a look at the entire U.S. They did issue a watch. That's a severe thunderstorm watch, mainly for the state of Indiana. It's in all of central and into southern portions of the state where we do have, again, thunderstorms that are growing. Kind of looking at this from a larger angle, that severe thunderstorm watch, that's that area in pink that you see there. And the one severe thunderstorm warning as well. This whole area, again, primed for some pretty nasty storms a little bit later on. Put this into motion for you. We're also seeing thunderstorms further east as well into northern Ohio, where I believe that is a marginal risk of severe weather. They do have this slight risk all the way up to Cleveland. So Cleveland to Columbus, possibility of some, again, damaging straight line winds will be the main threat. Could have some hail with that as well. Here's a look at Cape values as they're expected to develop here throughout the day. Again, we use that word Cape. You're going to hear that a lot. Convective available potential energy. This is based on the 3K NAM. Looking at Cape values from earlier today. Now look how they grow. I mean, I think this may be a little bit overdone, but if it's right, that would bring those values over 4,000 units, and that is more than enough for very strong, if not severe, thunderstorms. And then the Cape gets destroyed. What you're looking at, those bright colors, that's with the peak heating. That's when you get all the warming, and you get all that low-level moisture that collects, that just acts as fuel for thunderstorms. And then the thunderstorms begin to tap into that, and it rains and it cools the atmosphere. What you're seeing are individual clusters of storms showing up in the model data, and that destroys the Cape. So you need the Cape to feed the thunderstorms, but the thunderstorms turn around and destroy the Cape. It's this nice little balance that you get there with Mother Nature. It's the yin and the yang. Either way, though, it's cool imagery. It's neat to see. Radar associated with that, this is what it's showing. Again, I think it's a little bit late. I think we're getting the storms in here quicker than was advertised. So we'll see how it progresses. But overall, I think plenty of straight line winds associated with that. Now I can show you another tool that we use. Let me bring this back, and this is something that I find particularly useful in determining severe weather type. And so I'm going to take you into the Wabash River Valley. This was valid at, what time will this be? 7 p.m. And what this shows me a lot of different things. It shows me the amount of CAPE. It shows me if there's any dry layers in the atmosphere. It shows me the entire thermal profile, wind profile, and it does have an algorithm that determines threat. It says that a tornado is possible. It is. I just don't think it's going to be the main threat. Based on the winds being light, there's not a lot of strong wind associated with this, and as such, that'll keep the tornado threat down. Because what we're not going to see are a lot of strongly rotating thunderstorms. You could get some that gain a little rotation, but it should be brief. So based on this profile, I don't think it's going to be a huge tornado maker by any stretch of the imagination, which is good because I'm sure that'll keep a lot of people happy. All right, so that's what we've got. Some strong thunderstorms, some severe thunderstorms, damaging wind, and some hail. That's the primary threat. But overall, again, this is not going to be a huge day of severe weather, I'm happy to say. There's an updated look at the severe thunderstorm in progress across north central Indiana. It's moving through Lafayette right now, Rossville, Frankfort. This will be in Indianapolis, it looks like, here by late afternoon. So 4 or 5 o'clock, by the time that everybody's heading home, look out for those storms to move in. Okay, who do we have on here? We've got Dylan on here. Hi, Jeremy. I work out in Huber Heights, Ohio. Is there a possibility of this storm getting closer to Huber? And I have to look up your location, but most of Ohio will see that threat of thunderstorms. So let's look you up. Okay, so you're up there in that area that got hit by the tornado. You are going to see some storms rolling in, and what I can do is I can show you our high resolution weather model, what it's saying. By the way, there is a new severe thunderstorm warning issued now, covering a lot of the same areas that were already underneath the warning. They just kind of changed the shape. They are going to include Kokomo. Kokomo is included in the new warning, and it's a little further west as we're watching these storms growing. Looking at these echo tops here, what do we have? We've got echo tops that are somewhere around 50,000 feet. Make that 51, 52,000 feet right there, just immediately west of Lafayette. So this is where the action is now. I'll take you back over to our other model in just a moment. There you go. You see the storms as they are progressing south. And I'll pull up the HRRR for you one more time to give you an idea of when to expect that in Ohio and other areas of the Midwest. Okay, that data is loading in right now. Okay, so this is a situation currently with thunderstorms developing across central Indiana. So let's go back And I think the overall placement here is good. Brings it into Indianapolis by 4:30. And then you can see they do grow stronger as they dive southeast. Again, this is primarily going to be a line of thunderstorms. So the question was, what about north of Dayton, maybe Huber Heights? And it's trying to bring the strongest of the storms south of you. But I think that this whole area could see thunderstorm development. It does try to bring a secondary band that's associated with storms that are developing now to the north. You could get gapped where you have one cluster of storms that dives south. You have another one that approaches from the north and then dives off to the east of you. But either way, you'll have that storm threat. Again, let me reiterate that the threat for tornadoes is going to be low, which is good. Obviously, we don't need any more dealings with that. But with it being low, it's not non-existent. So I want to keep that in mind. All right, I want to thank my moderator for being on here. That's Jacob Gooding. Again, we're just popping on with just a quick update of expectations of severe weather across the Midwest, different areas of the U.S., what the thoughts are today. We're not going to do these every day, but I want to pop on occasionally and give people a heads up. The purpose of this show, the main thrust of this show, is to focus during times of high-end severe weather. Obviously, when tornadoes are in progress, you're going to see me on here a lot more, covering weather throughout the United States. I'm a broadcast meteorologist of 20 years experience. I'm certified by the American Meteorological Society. I'm a certified broadcast meteorologist, and I've covered weather in Texas, in Kansas, Mississippi, the Ohio River Valley, the Great Lakes during my time, and it's been a great honor. And now it's my time to serve you guys. So that's part of my mission. And if you all don't mind subscribing if you haven't already, that would be greatly appreciated. And you can also hit the notification tab to let you know next time that I'm on. And again, we'll be on either to discuss, like this one, it's more of a forecast discussion showing you where storms are going in the future, what the risks are going to be, what we're going to be looking out for. On other times, I'll be popping on when there's, again, high-end severe weather events like we've had many times over the last few weeks. I was on for Dayton, Ohio. You go back with the storms and that devastating tornado that went through the northern suburbs. I was there when the tornado emergency was declared. I was on when Lawrence, Kansas just about got clobbered by a violent EF4. And I'll continue. Again, every time that we have a significant tornado threat, I will be here. So that's my mission statement. What about Franklin County? And where are you at? And you're very welcome, Jill. Thank you for being on here. Is that Franklin County, Ohio? Okay, so you're talking about Columbus, and the data shows the possibility of storms this evening in Columbus. Most likely time frame would be after 5 o'clock. So, okay, well, I'm not going to prolong this. Again, we are looking at strong to severe thunderstorms in progress across north central Indiana, with the one warning that is currently in effect. One last look at that warning. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Southern Carroll, northeastern Franklin, or make that northeastern Fountain. Tippecanoe County should be moving out of Tippecanoe County soon. Northern Clinton, Howard County, northeastern Warren County, and northern Tipton County. That goes until 3:15. Storm capable of producing 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. It's a radar indicated threat. You guys keep in mind, you can also follow me on Twitter if you're on Facebook or Instagram. You can find me, last name spelled with a K. I want to thank you guys for being here. Hopefully you have an enjoyable Wednesday. Don't work too hard. We'll be on the downhill slide to hopefully what turns out to be a pretty nice looking weekend, I think, for much of the eastern, if not northern United States. So we have that much to look forward to. Thanks for being here, and please come back again next time. See you guys.